Hello, we are Eva Fernandez, Ovidio Botella, and Emiliano Cordova. Today we're going to talk about Greece. Today we're going to talk about the Greek origins, where it was located, some of the Greek values about their architecture, the Greek pottery, how it was made, and what are the images that are on the pottery. We're also going to talk about the Korai sculpture, what does it mean for the Greek community and society, the Greek orders, more specifically about the columns, what are their types, the Greco-Roman orders, their architectural typologies, and some of the Greek architectural typologies all around the world.
The Greek culture was rediscovered during the Renaissance between the 15th and the 16th century, and Greece was the birthplace of the Western philosophy, having a lot of key figures like Socrates, Plato, Aristotle. It had a lot of myths. The mythology had a really important role in explaining natural phenomena and human behavior, and in its architecture, they had a lot of influence on the Renaissance and the neoclassical art.
Greek values. Greek society was based on shared values that linked separate city-states and spread power north of Mount Olympus. Even though the city-states were legally separate, they were united by their language, religion, and cultural practices. The people in each polis were loyal to only one polis, which made the society very close. But this didn't stop the Greeks from seeing themselves as an educated people and setting themselves apart from others, whom they called barbarians. This difference showed that they thought their language, government theory, and artistic works were better. You can understand how Greek culture and building grew without looking at what the Dorian, Ionic, and Corinthian groups did. The Dorians took over the Peloponnese between 1100 before Christ and 1000 before Christ. They brought a strong cultural philosophy with them, which can be seen in the Doric building order. This style is known for being strong and simple, and you can see it in famous buildings like the Parthenon.
Greek pottery has four main types: geometric, Corinthian, Athenian black figure, and Athenian red figure pottery. Pottery vessels were made of everyday use, such as two-handed amphora for storage, the single-stem helix cup for drinking wine, and the three-handed hydra for holding water.
The Korai sculpture is a standing archaic stone statue of a draped and married female figure. It's usually in marble and limestone, and with the development of the Korai, Greek sculpture started to become more monumental. It is realistically representing a human body at rest, and although realistic sculpture techniques were later developed, particularly after the Renaissance, Korai exhibited a refined and primary realism.
Greek orders. A certain style of building that has its own measurements, profiles, and decorative details is called an architectural order. A key part of classical architecture is the type of column used to show the order and style of the building as a whole. Figuring out the form of the column places the architectural order within the building and connects it to the historical and aesthetic surroundings. The classical orders, which include Doric, Ionic, and Corinthian, are more than just styles. They show how Greek architecture changed over time. The Doric order started to appear on the Greek mainland in the late 17th century before Christ. It is known for being strong and simple, and it was the most popular way to build temples until the early 5th century. Its roots can be found in Iona, which is now Turkey. The Ionic order has thin shapes and scroll-like decoration on the caps. The Corinthian order, which is named after the city of Corinth, has elaborate capsules, acanthus leaves that were created by the sculptor Kallimouchas.
Greco-Roman orders. They were probably written between the 30 and 20 before Christ. The Architectura by Marco Vitruvius, the famous architect that describes in his book the origins, character, and application of the Greek orders in architecture, particularly in temples. For Vitruvius, the architecture should represent all three: beauty, venustas, stability, firmitas, utilita, functionality. The heart of America's embrace of Greek architecture lies in the Greek revival movement of the late 18th and 19th centuries. Post-independence, America was a nation in search for a cultural identity that could reflect its democratic ethos and republican values. In ancient Greece, American architects and intellectuals found a wellspring of inspiration. The Greek polis, particularly Athens, was perceived in the birthplace of democracy, philosophy, and the arts, ideals that resonated deeply with the American spirit.
Typologies of architecture are useful for figuring out how towns and societies have changed over time. Anthropologists, historians, and architectural historians study different types of buildings to learn more about historical events, political changes, and economic changes. Over time, changes in typologies often show how urban conditions are changing because of new needs, better technology, or shifting cultural goals. On the other hand, when typologies become outdated, it means that a city's role or purpose has changed in a big way. Building types are an important place for builders to start when they are designing. They serve as guides or examples, giving direction while leaving room for new ideas. Architects can change to new situations while still honoring historical continuity by looking at existing typologies. In the end, building typologies connect cities past, present, and future, and they shape how they grow and change over time.
The Athenian Agora. The Athenian Agora was the heart of ancient Athens, serving as the central public space that facilitated social, political, and economic life. It was located between the Acropolis and the Areopagus. It was a bustling hub where citizens gathered for various activities including political discussions, philosophical debates, and market exchange. The Athenian Agora was not just a physical space but a symbol of Athenian democracy and cultural life. Embodying the values and ideas of ancient Greek culture, today it is an archaeological site that offers insight into the daily lives of Athenians in antiquity.
Typically, the stoa form had a second inner colonnade that supported a ridge roof. Some stoas had small roofs behind the portico, some had two or more stories, and some had projecting wings at either end forming L or P shapes.
As an organizational feature within the agora's boundaries, the Stoa of Arolos served as a crucial urban boundary. The Stoa is composed of limestone and pentelic marble and measures 115 by 20 meters, 377 by 1666 feet. The structure expertly employs many architectural orders. The ground floor outer colonnade was designed in the Doric order, while the internal colonnade was designed in the Ionic style.
The Greek amphitheater. It was an amazing piece of architecture because it combined practicality with ornate design. Amphitheaters had circular or semicircular seats, cavea, and they used natural hillsides or less often man-made elevations on flat ground to make tired sitting. The cavea was around the orchestra, which was the performance area. The stage and proscenium made theatrical performance better. The first theaters were made of wood in the 6th century before Christ. In the 5th century, stone stages started to appear. By the 4th century, Greek stages were fully developed with painted Doric or Ionic prosceniums.
The Temple of Zeus at Olympia adheres to the Doric order. It commemorated the victory of Elis, a city-state in the Peloponnese around 471 before Christ existed. The temple's columns have plain capitals and sit directly in the stilobate. That means it has no base. It is defined by 6 columns east and west facades and 13 columns on each of its longer north and south sides. It was the largest temple in mainland Greece, though there were so many other temples in Greece. The Greek typology temple. The temple in the ancient Greek religion. The temple interiors did not serve as meeting places since the sacrifices and rituals dedicated to the deity took place outside them. Within the wider precinct of the sanctuary might be large temples were frequently used to store votive offerings. They are the most important and most widespread surviving building type in Greek architecture.
The tholos is a round building that is usually set on a raised platform. It has a ring of columns that hold up a cone-shaped or dome-shaped roof. Some tolos were round shrines with colonnades going around them, but many had different purposes and were creatively built. The tolos of Epidaurus was built by Cleitos the Younger and had both Doric and underground passages. The Tolos of Delphi, which is part of the sanctuary of Athena Paranoia, was also built by Tolos of Ovidio. It has 20 Doric columns and 3 of them have been fixed up.
The palaestra was a rectangular courtyard surrounded by columns with a connected rooms around it. The rooms in the palaestra were used for many activities, such as bathing, playing ball, changing clothes, storing belongings, relaxing, and socializing, teaching or observing, and keeping oil, dust, or athletical gear. A palaestra could be a separate building or a part of a larger gymnasium. The gymnasium was a public space for sports and education. In Greek gymnasiums, people also attended lectures and discussions about philosophy, literature, and music, and public libraries were often nearby. Lastly, the Greek baths were public spaces where people went to relax, socialize, and take care of themselves. Water was heated in boilers connected to furnaces which were fueled by wood or charcoal added from outside the building. Hot baths became so popular that small bathhouses were built in neighborhoods, usually outside the city walls. The baths had three main sections: the caldarium, the hottest, the tepidarium, medium temperature, and the frigidarium, the coldest. The caldarium and the frigidarium had indoor pools, while the tepidarium was used for cooling off or getting a massage.
In conclusion, ancient Greece was a cradle of civilization that shaped much of the world as we know it today. Its innovations in democracy, philosophy, art, and science laid the foundations for modern societies. The enduring stories of its myths, the wisdom of the thinkers, and the beauty of its art remind us of the creativity and ingenuity of its people. Ancient Greece was not just a moment in history but a legacy that continues to inspire and guide us. Thank you for joining me on the journey into the remarkable world of ancient Greece.